Welcome. You're watching News Central now on News Central Television. My name is Mazino. Now let's take you through the top stories this hour. Nigeria holds interdenominational service of Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary celebration. Lion kills 35-year-old worker in Obasanjo Library's zoo. And Botswana presidential candidates submit nomination to High Court. Details coming up shortly. Now let's begin by telling you that Christians faithfuls across Nigeria have all gathered in Nigeria's federal capital, Abuja, for the interdenominational service of Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary celebration. In attendance are senior government officials, service chiefs in Nigeria's across several denominations. Now, this is part of the lineup of activities to commemorate Nigeria's 64th Independence Day celebration. News Central's Joshua Emarai, who is at the venue of the interdenominational service in Abuja, now joins us on the news to give more details. Joshua, you're welcome. Good afternoon to you. Would like to know the mood where you are and how are preparations for the 64th independence going?
Well, the mood here is exactly the mood of Nigeria here has been rejuvenated by the early sermon given by the Archbishop of the Methodist Church in Nigeria. And one thing for sure here, everybody's expecting and thinking. And there's this hope that things will get better. And the Nigerians here have made prayers, particularly for the legislature. Prayers were made specifically for the armed forces, with them putting them in God's hands, and they ensure that God is behind Nigeria. And the mood there is very, very full, as I can say. As you can see, everybody in crowd here, and everyone is booked that things to get better in Nigeria.
Well, okay then, Emarai, thank you very much for bringing us that very interesting report there. We'll get back to you on more as the day progresses. Thank you. Now, in over a year of economic reforms under President Bola Tinubu, and the verdict is as mixed as the optimisms were in the start. Although the country's headline inflation eased to 32.15% in August 2024, down from 33.40%, some citizens remain frustrated over persistent hikes in prices of commodities. News Central correspondent Leko Onabanja brings us details in this report.
Nigeria, before now, had been grappling with soaring double-digit inflation. This, coupled with a rising debt portfolio and a lean revenue, signaled the need for fiscal reforms to increase liquidity and slow down the economic decline. Nigerians seem to be caught in between the devil and the deep blue sea, from when President Bola Tinubu removed fuel subsidy and floated the naira, calling it tough choices to recalibrate the economy.
The economy was bleeding from the fuel subsidy regime because there's a lot of corruption, a lot of smuggling, and almost complete lack of transparency. And the government was losing a lot of revenue. But what was missing was steps that needed to, or steps that should have been taken to mitigate the consequences of those reforms. And I must confess to you, even as an economist, I never imagined that the impact of those reforms will be as devastating.
Consequently, prices of commodities hit an overdrive, tearing through the roof across board and denting the purchasing power of citizens.
I used to be able to go to the market with maybe 50,000. Now, no, even 100,000, you can't buy things with 100,000. Transportation also is affecting us. I don't know. That one too is crazy. And salaries are not going up. It's still the same thing. So it's affecting us.
When I'm coming back, I spend 1,000. But right now, going and coming back, I'm spending no less than 3,200. The business is totally bad now. We are not even seeing customers.
Series of intervention programs were introduced to mitigate the impact of the policies. However, administrative bottlenecks and poor implementation remain major concerns. In all these, the president pleads with citizens to be patient, saying the reforms are at the yielding curve.
This patience is getting beyond people's imagination now. It's getting too much. If the president is over there telling the Nigeria, lying to the Nigeria that we should be patient. And people are dying. Let him come on the street now. Come and see how people are suffering.
We're already in it. So I guess we just really have no choice than to be patient, I guess.
Whatever reforms that we are putting in place, a lot of the reforms have taken a lot of resources away from the people into government. But what we need to be looking at is how whatever the citizens are losing out in terms of the reforms or in terms of the subsidy withdrawal is given back to the people directly.
Nigeria's inflation has eased to 32.15%, and President Bola Tinubu has continuously begged Nigerians to be patient with his economic policies, saying they will begin to reap the benefits of their sacrifices soon. With over 8 years of endurance in the previous administration, how soon is soon before the benefits begin to trickle in? In Lagos for News Central, Lekan Onobanjo.
The Kogi State Commissioner of Police, Bethran Onwoha, has advised those planning to stage a protest on October 1st to recognize or rather reconsider and give the government more time to address the nation's economic challenges. The commissioner made this appeal during an engagement with the executives of the Take It Back movement, Kogi State chapter, at the command headquarters in Lokoja. A statement issued in the early hours of Sunday by the police public relations officer William Aya stated that the commissioner of police advised the group to reconsider their planned protest and give the government more time to fix the economy. The leader of the group assured the commissioner of police that as enlightened and law-abiding youth in Kogi State, they would accept his advice and remain committed to the peace, progress and development of the state. In what can be described as a significant push for political inclusion, Nigerians living abroad are demanding the right to participate in national elections. Despite making vital contributions to the country's economy through remittance and advocacy, their calls for enfranchisement have consistently been denied by authorities back home. In its effort to deepen discussions on this subject, News Central TV has hosted a high-profile town hall meeting in New York on the sidelines of the 79th United Nations General Assembly, where prominent citizens bared their minds on the issue. News Central's Chidima Ona shares more here.
News Central's town hall, which took place in New York, brought together key members of the Nigerian diaspora, political analysts and advocates for electoral reforms. The keynote speaker was renowned public policy expert and former Nigerian Minister of Education, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, who delivered a compelling address saying that granting Nigerians in the diaspora the right to vote is not only a matter of democratic justice, but also an essential part of ensuring broader citizen participation of the country's future.
What do you think the diaspora represents? The diaspora represents these three resources I just spoke about. The diaspora is an incredible community of people with all kinds of partnerships. Partnership gives you leverage beyond anything you can do by yourself. There are institutions, there are organizations, there are communities within the United States that a single Nigerian who's lived here and amongst them will quicker open the doors to than the ambassador that we have sent to the United States. So understanding that makes us look at our diaspora entirely differently. And in the sense that you have just heard, that educational attainment and success, professional success, that Nigerian diaspora are at the top of it, you can then imagine the quality of partnerships that they can unlock for the country. Okay? The quality of the partnership.
Speaking virtually from Nigeria, the Executive Chairman and CEO of Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri Erewa, acknowledged the growing momentum for diaspora voting rights, but highlighted the significant infrastructural and logistical barriers that remain, while providing details about the current status of the bill on diaspora voting in Nigeria.
INEC, severally, we have engaged with INEC numerous times, and INEC will tell you we're ready for diaspora voting. the former President Buhari, in fact, under President Obasanjo, he clamored for diaspora voting. The same thing with President Yaradua, the same thing with President Jonathan, and now the same thing with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So it's not enough to say we want it to happen. The parliament just has to amend the constitution to make it happen. And that is where all of us collectively will have to lobby parliamentarians. We'll have to lobby the National Assembly, because if they don't make it happen, then there's nothing we can do. Every one of us, let us lobby, let us work together, and for the diaspora, channel your energy to an issue like diaspora voting, not about where we come from. Igbo is fighting Yoruba, we're arguing and abusing each other. Let's leave all that aside and channel energy to this issue of diaspora voting. And I believe that if everybody speaks collectively and demands of the National Assembly to amend the Constitution, it will be done.
Central to the conversation was the argument that Nigerians abroad, estimated to number in millions, should have the right to vote for their preferred candidate in Nigeria's general elections, a right they currently do not enjoy. Other speakers at the meeting also called for better leadership in Nigeria and more inclusivity for people in diaspora.
We have to go back and change what is called Nigeria. We don't have rulers in Nigeria. We make a mistake. We have rulers. What we have are rulers, not leaders. A leader will say, we are going somewhere. Then they will think of people they have left outside. They don't see you people as their own. They see you as people that can get something from. So we have to have leaders. What we have back there, they are not leaders. They are rulers.
A place like United States or America or UK that sends in, look at diaspora remittance. We're talking about 20-something billion. How much is our budget? So when people from here are like, oh, no, I'm not going to, because things are good here. Let me tell you something. No matter what you do in America, in UK, you are a third-class citizen. That's the truth. Don't get it twisted. You are enjoying free electricity, having fun. You are eating all the burgers and all the rest. Of course, I came in America. I want to eat some very good African food and all. You guys are having fun and the rest of it. You are a third class or fourth class citizens. That's the truth. We need to look into our nation. Nigeria is bleeding. Things are going hey. That's the truth. Anybody that tells you that things are okay in Nigeria, you are a joker.
In wrapping up the meeting, the managing director and editor-in-chief of News Central TV, Kayode Akintemi, emphasized the critical importance of consistent efforts to effect the desired change in the country all Nigerians call home.
We are speaking the truth to power. We're speaking as much as we possibly can. But it is in your hands, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are in diaspora. If we set up an opportunity like this for you to come and be a part of it, and you don't seize it, then you have nobody to blame. You can't say the effort was not there. But this is just the beginning.
As Nigeria prepares for future elections, the voices of the diaspora are growing louder, and the push for enfranchisement is likely to become an even more prominent issue in the coming political circles. In Lagos for News Central, Chidinma Ona.
Abubakar Umar, the sixth prosecution witness in the trial of former governor of Benue State Gabriel Suswam, has narrated before the Federal High Court, Maitama Abuja, presided over by Justice Peter Lifu, how in 2014 he converted the sum of 3.1 billion naira wired to him by Suswam as governor. He said he delivered its equivalent of $15.8 million in cash to the former governor at his Maitama Abuja residence. This was revealed in a statement by the head of media and publicity of the Economy and Financial Crimes Commission, Dele Oyewale. Suswam, alongside his then Commissioner of Finance, Omodachi Okolobia, facing 11 counts amended charges of money laundering to the tune of 3.1 billion naira, being part of the proceeds from the sales of the state government's shares held on its behalf by the Benue Investment and Property Company Limited, sold through Elixir Securities Limited and Elixir Investment Partners Limited. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has appointed Joseph Olasunkami Tegbe as Director General and Global Liaison for the Nigerian-China Strategic Partnership, reached by the two countries during the president's visit in early September. Tegbe, a 1988 first-class graduate in civil engineering from Obafemi Awolowo University, will report directly to the president. He will immediately submit a strategic action plan to enable Nigeria to benefit from the agreements between the two countries in Beijing. As the czar of the strategic partnership, he will lead day-to-day operations, engage continuously with the Chinese counterparts, and ensure that all deliverables are met and synchronized with national development goals. And now time for a break. And when we get back, we tell about how lion kills 35-year-old worker in Obasanjo Library. Stay tuned. We'll bring you in a minute. You're welcome back. And now to a rather sad one. The Ogun State Police Command on Sunday confirmed that a 35-year-old zoo worker at Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library at Belkuta, Babaji, Douale, was on Saturday killed by a lion. The spokesman for the State Police Command, Omolola Odutola, disclosed this in a statement sent to journalists on Sunday. The Bauchi State-born lion handler was said to have forgotten to secure the locks and barricade the lion's enclosure before approaching the cage to feed the animal. This reportedly allowed the lion to escape and attack the handler, resulting in injuries to his neck and eventual death. The victim's body was said to have been removed and taken to the mortuary at Ijaye General Hospital, while the wild lion was shot to release its grip on the handler. Now let's tell you that 13 persons have been confirmed dead following a cholera outbreak in Ebonyi and Izi local government areas of Ebonyi State. 10 persons were confirmed dead from the disease a few days back. Briefing newsmen in Abakaliki, the Ebonyi State Commissioner for Health, Moses Ekuma, said 3 more deaths have been recorded and about 69 cases reported. Akuma said that others affected are responding to treatment at the different treatment centers activated within the communities affected in Ebonyi and Izi local government areas. Open defecation and poor hygiene have been attributed to the outbreak of the disease, as most communities get drinking water from streams. And in the meantime, the Taraba state government has issued a directive urging residents along the River Benue Valley to relocate immediately to avoid potential flooding. This comes after a warning from the Nigerian Hydrological Service Agency and the announcement by the Lagdo Dam Authority in Cameroon. According to the state's Commissioner for Information, Zainab Usman Jalingo, the dam managers have begun releasing water at a rate of 100 cubic meters per day, about 8.64 million cubic meters per day, since September 17, 2024. While the release is controlled, there is still a significant risk of flooding downstream, particularly in Taraba State, which has the longest stretch of the River Benue. Communities at high risk include Karim Lamido, Lao, Ardokola, Kaso, Wukari, and Ibi local government areas. And thousands of Borno residents have returned home after severe flooding displaced them, and they are now seeking more government assistance. Meanwhile, the Borno State Government Assessment Committee has begun evaluating the damage, stressing the urgent need for comprehensive recovery efforts. News Central's Umaru Kirawa reports.
Scenes of buildings and infrastructure in Maiduguri, Jere and neighboring communities in Borno State. The flooding that ravaged these areas continues to cause the collapse of many buildings. Victims are urging authorities to act swiftly as they face increasingly desperate conditions. From 545 Housing Estate to Shehuri North and South, through Gamboru to the state locust housing areas, residents are struggling to cope with the widespread damage.
Da Allah Ubangiji ya ba su iko lungu-lungu suna shiga cikin ruwa, suna shiga gidajen da ya rushe, suna kokarin saukar da hakkin da gwamnati ta daura musu, kuma Allah ya daura musu. Kuma muna da roƙon gwamnati a yi kokari a sa effort, saboda har yanzu sun suna kwana akan titi. Currently yanzu haka gida ya rushe. Nebo na ya rushe, gidana ya rushe.
The Borno State Government's Flood Relief Distribution Committee is conducting on-the-spot assessment to gather first-hand information for its response.
Kanadia gonyo nduya ya awarisha so ndena mare kamla ronzo maroba awarisha so na ala shiro ganazu kameras kamo ganazu imba da anna karo ande amlar rade chaman mai gaskima Kanadia gonyen ala isidia bara ala namnyen gelaro kaladin dien ala wandia wajiri arufun shimdero plezoi.
The Shehu of Borno has advised the State's Relief Committee to ensure that necessary resources are delivered to help communities recover and rebuild.
Fitina ruyan su har samma ai mai salan kaman da rizo yanzu dawo ba man halde mai sudin da halde do angal ginanyo da aude wajin da jire da dia da gwamnati isu banan zudin aude sun zubana.
The expectation of the affected flood communities in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, as well as Jere, among other communities, are very high. And the government says it will do what it can to support them, rebuild their houses, and pick up the pieces of their lives.
We are going to make the recommendation based on whatever we verify. It will be submitted to the investment, and then the investment will make the disbursement. Ours is only to ensure that the names, the houses, the account number, and the telephone number really correspond. Ours is to verify that there is nobody that is going to claim on somebody's property. Ours is to verify that actual damage that is being done is already recorded, so that we want to put smiles in the faces of our people.
The committee has begun verifying over 7,000 flood victims, but the challenge remains ensuring the government can reach all those affected by the disaster. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umoru Kirawa.
And to security matters now, in Borno State, a notorious Boko Haram terrorist, Bochu Abacha, has surrendered to troops of the multinational joint task force stationed in Kukawa local government area. The MNJTF information officer, Lieutenant Colonel Olani Oshoba, confirmed the surrender in a statement. Bochu, a high-ranking figure in the Boko Haram ISWAP insurgency, admitted to participating in several terrorist operations along the Mungunu-Baga axis. He stated that intense military pressure and a loss of interest led to his decision to flee a Boko Haram camp in Musaram and surrender. Recovered from Bochu were an AK-47 rifle, a magazine with 11 rounds of ammunition, a mobile phone, and 32,500 naira. He is currently providing crucial information and intelligence to authorities. Politics now. In Benue State, the crisis within the People's Democratic Party has deepened as key stakeholders known as the G14 push back against former Governor Gabriel Suswam's decision to dissolve the group. The G14, a body of PDP elders from 14 local government areas, was formed in 2015 to strengthen the party. Suswam, who served as co-chairman, recently announced the disbandment of the group during a meeting in Makurdi, proposing a new caucus to replace it. However, G14's chairman, Lahad Zeva, responded firmly, stating that the group is a voluntary body and cannot be dissolved by Suswam. He added that if Suswam wishes to leave, he can resign and has no authority to disband the G14. The tension stems from a power struggle between Suswam and his successor, Samuel Ortom, over who controls the party. The recent rating of Abia State as having the highest unemployment rate in Nigeria by the National Bureau of Statistics has sparked reactions from citizens and opposition parties. On Tuesday, the NBS released the first quarter 2024 National Labor Force Survey for 2023, placing Abia at the top of the unemployment chart with an 18.7% unemployment rate. News Central's Chinwe Ogele reports.
Just as Abia State was celebrating its top performance in the 2024 National Examination Council results, the NBS report on unemployment came as a shock, dampening the celebratory mood. For some, it is a pressing concern that must be addressed with sound economic policies.
To ensure that these youths are quite engaged, either by way of appointment, either by way of empowerment, youth empowerment, either by way of creating, a lot of things that can make them be part of, growth that will make the state bounce back in terms of employment.
It can only be combated if mechanisms or institutions are put in place that have the ability to, absorb the growing force, the growing unemployed force, looking at reviving critical industries.
To others, it is a major concern that must be reversed with the right economic policies, as stated by the state chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Kingsley Ononobu, in a chat wherein he said, and I quote, "I have read the report and don't have much to say other than to encourage the government and the organized private sector to study the report and come up with strategies to tackle the monster." End of quote. Others, however, are questioning the credibility of the statistics.
Abia State has suddenly started witnessing positive changes. These changes are meant to drive industrialization and create jobs as well.
Abia State has a population of over 4 million people, and according to NBS data, 362,000 of them are unemployed, the highest in the nation. Interestingly, 1.25 million people are self-employed, while 1.5 million work in the informal sector and 298,000 are in salaried employment. In 2022, Governor Alex Otti raised concerns about the rate of unemployment in the state then and had this to say: "The problem we have in Nigeria today is unemployment. Economics says that any time unemployment figure begins to rise from 3 to 5%, there is crisis. Tolerable rate of unemployment rate is 3 to 5%. So what has caused the issue to persist under his administration, despite his understanding of the challenges? Attempts to reach his Chief Press Secretary Oko Hanjoko and Commissioner for Information Uke Kano were unsuccessful as they did not respond to calls. Gochkwe Mezwe, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party in Abia State, believes that the disengagement of workers by the current government may have worsened the situation.
It means that you've been able to relieve people of their, thousands of them of their appointments. You have not filled that appointment, and of course those people are on the streets doing nothing.
While acknowledging that the government cannot employ everyone, respondents emphasized the need to empower the private sector to bridge the employment gap.
Grants should be made available to, willing persons who are willing to take opportunities, seize the opportunity and, bring, whatever idea it is you have to fruition, because without capital you can't even do anything.
Ultimately, the measures taken by the government in response to this report will determine the outcome of the next assessment by the National Bureau of Statistics. In Omaha for News Central, Chinwe Ugele.
Now, the Ministry of the Federal Capital Territory has expressed displeasure over the pace of work on the Outer Southern Expressway 2 to the Wassa Road project. The minister, during an inspection of the road, says work done on ground does not reflect the payment received from the FCT administration, expressing worry that the contractor might not meet the April 2025 completion date. Amadine Uyi reports.
The minister had visited the project, key to reducing traffic at the Akpo district. He was given an update by the director of the Federal Capital Development Authority's Engineering Services.
Where we are standing, we have the Terminal Expressway. By the time this service carriageway to Wassa is completed, there will still be some form of traffic gridlock. Because as we see even here, this narrow is moving from 10 lanes or 6 lanes on this side to 2 lanes. So there is some congestion. So when from here is extended right to either Road 2 or up to Wassa, that will now resolve the traffic, because in between there will be interchanges. For example, at Kogi Junction, there will be one interchange.
After a chat with the contractor, the minister expressed his displeasure at the work seen on ground.
We have extended it to May. Even with what I'm seeing here, it's not possible in Vietnam. It's not possible, and it should be fair to us. If we have an agreement, let's keep to that agreement. And we are paying. The guys said they were not paying. So why should we see what we are seeing now?
He says that work done on ground is not commensurate with the payment received by the contractor, expressing worry at their ability to meet the completion date.
We are paid over 80% of this contract, and the job As far as I'm concerned, they brought down about 50%, even though the director of Nigerian services told the lies. And I'm not going to accept that. And I have told you to well sit down with CGC and bring up the work plan. And CGC has told us that they are going to finish this project by May. Well, let them go down and commit themselves and tell us by May they are going to hand over this project.
The left-hand carriageway of the Outer Southern Expressway from the Ring Road 1 to the Wasat Junction is about 15 kilometers. The project was initially slated to be completed by December 2024. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Coming up, 17 people killed in South Africa mass shooting. We'll tell you more after the break. Join us then. Welcome back. The news continues in Southern Africa, where presidential candidates from Botswana's different political parties have submitted their nominations to Chief Justice Terence T. Irenowane of the High Court in Gaborone, ahead of the general elections set for October 30th. President Mokgweetsi Masisi, who is standing for a second 5-year term, said that October 30 and 31st would be public holidays to allow people to vote in large numbers. Botswana is a multi-party democracy that holds general elections every 5 years. The ruling Botswana Democratic Party has been in power since independence from Britain in 1966.
Not less than 998 authenticated support papers, namely Dr. Mokgweetsi Erika Masisi of PO Box 5, Moshopa. I now wish to invite you to hand me your symbols, your colors, your excellency.
And assured and confident. We comply with everything. And you know, people might be amazed why we were early. For democratic change.
In South Africa, 17 people were killed in a devastating mass shooting in Eastern Cape, with 3 others critically injured. The incident occurred in Nyathi village, Ngobozana, Lusikisiki, where victims believed to be relatives and neighbors were shot dead in a homestead. 13 victims, including 12 women and 1 man, were found in one house, while 4 more were discovered in another homestead. In total, 15 women and 2 men lost their lives. It is alleged that the victims were preparing for a traditional ritual scheduled for Saturday to mark the end of mourning for a mother and daughter murdered a year ago. The 3 injured survivors are currently fighting for their lives in hospital. In East Africa, a medical source told reporters on Friday that 48 people have been killed in 2 days of raids by Sudanese paramilitaries on the Darfur city of El Fasher, following international calls for an end to nations' suffering. According to a medical source at El Fasher Teaching Hospital, as paramilitary forces and the regular army continue to battle for control of North Darfur's capital, artillery fire from the rapid support forces killed 30 people and wounded many others on Friday alone. Now, women protested in Mexico City in defense of abortion rights on International Safe Abortion Day. The women who clashed with police during the demonstration said the day is a reminder of the importance of mobilizing their agenda for the right to choose for legal, safe and free abortions. They said the goal is to remove abortion from the penal code, as this is both necessary and socially important.
Bueno, para mí es importante estar hoy aquí representándome a mí misma, representando la libertad de mi cuerpo, de que yo soy una persona que decide por sí misma, que no permite que otras personas decidan, y para dar gracias y resignificar todo el trabajo que otras mujeres han hecho para la libertad de nuestras propias cuerpos.
Y porque este día justo es un recordatorio de la importancia de movilizar nuestra agenda por el derecho a decidir, por el aborto legal y seguro y gratuito, pero también para seguir posicionando la importancia de la despenalización del aborto, tanto de manera legal como de manera social.
Pero hace falta mucho. Lo que queremos es que el aborto salga del Código Penal, porque de esa forma se despenalizaría totalmente, socialmente, ya daría el mensaje de que un procedimiento médico va a ser tratado como eso y no como una conducta.
Hamas has condemned the killing of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah after the Lebanon-based group confirmed his death in an Israeli strike on South Beirut a day earlier. Hamas, in a statement, offered condolence in solidarity with Hezbollah, describing it as a cowardly terrorist act. Hamas deputy leader Khalil al-Hayya added that the killing of Nasrallah will be the stage of sacred revenge.
إن اغتيال الاحتلال الصهيوني الأخ المجاهد الكبير السيد حسن نصر الله وإخوانه من قادة الحزب هو عمل إرهابي مكتمل الأركان وانتهاك لسيادة لبنان وتوسيع لدائرة عدوانه، ويتحمل الاحتلال مسؤوليته وتداعياته، ولن يفلح في كسر إرادة المقاومة الباسلة، بل سيكون عنوان مرحلة من مراحل الثأر المقدس لكل الدماء النازفة. إننا وقد خبرنا إخواننا في حزب الله لواثقون من قدرتهم على سرعة ترتيب صفوفهم.
Israel Army Chief Herzi Halevi says the military is determined to continue striking and destroying Hezbollah, which he described as a terrorist organization. This follows the killing of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah in a strike on the southern suburb of Beirut on Friday evening.
נסראללה הרג אזרחים ישראלים ללא הבחנה. הוא רצה שהמלחמה הזאת תסתיים בהשמדת מדינת ישראל. אנחנו דאגנו שזה לא יקרה. אותו הרגנו ואנחנו נמשיך להתחזק. אנחנו נחושים להמשיך ולהשמיד את ארגון הטרור חיזבאללה. אנחנו נחושים להמשיך להילחם. כוחות צה"ל נמצאים במוכנות שיא, בהגנה ובהתקפה, בכל הזירות ומוכנים.
Coming up is sports, but before that, let's take a short break. We'll bring you the information after. Welcome back. Nigeria's junior female Yellow Greens will again battle test-playing nation Zimbabwe for a place at next year's ICC Under-19 Women's World Cup in Malaysia, as both teams meet in the final of the Africa Division 1 qualifiers in Kigali, Rwanda on Sunday. The junior female Yellow Greens recorded a solid 62-run win over arch-rivals Rwanda in one of the semi-finals matches of the tournament on Saturday to set up the final clash against the Zimbabweans, who beat Uganda 75 runs in the second semi-final. A win for the junior Yellow Greens over Zimbabwe will confirm Nigeria's second Cricket World Cup appearance at any level. And resigning Nigeria Premier Football League champion Rangers International of Enugu will be looking to burst Remo Stars' bubble when both sides meet on Sunday in Ikenne in a match week 4 fixture. Rangers won their first game of the season away at Ikorodu City midweek and will be looking for another win away for the second game in a row and in southwestern part of Nigeria. But they face a side that is keen on extending its perfect start to the season.
Another assignment, not for the match in the weekend. I already know how they play, but at least seeing what they do today again, I'm able to see the dynamics they have. And unfortunate for them, they have a red card in one of maybe their best player. So there's little or nothing more to see than all I've seen. But I'm here for a different mission. We want it to be our season. We're fighting to make it be our season. We've been there for... We've had a glimpse of it for 3 seasons now, so this time we want to have it. I think it will be an icing on the cake for us, so And that's all we want to do.
And Sunshine Stars and Nasarawa United continued the tradition of away wins in the 2024-25 season of the NPFL when they pulled off impressive road wins respectively in Akwa Ibom and Lagos State. Anas Yusuf's goal in 45 minutes, his fifth this term, and Kabiru Balogun's 65th minute strike secured Nasarawa a 2-1 win over Ikorodu City at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena in Lagos. Thank God Chilaka scored either side of Nasarawa's goal to become Ikorodu's first scorer in their maiden campaign. The win vaults Nasarawa 6 places into 6th place on 5 points in the table after 4 rounds of games, while Ikorodu sits second from bottom. In the second match day 4 encounter for Saturday, Sunshine scorched Oka United 2-1 in Uyo to jump 4 places into second on 7 points. NPFL standing, that is. And Nigerian striker Victor Osimhen scored his first goal for Galatasaray, netting a stunning first-half brace in their Turkish Super League clash against Kasimpasa on Saturday. Osimhen broke the deadlock in the 20th minute with a clinical finish, and 8 minutes later, he doubled Galatasaray's lead with an exquisite strike. Mura Ikadi joined the goal-scoring fray, adding a third for the hosts in the 34th minute. Though the visitors pulled one back afterward, Galatasaray's dominance remained evident. Despite appearing injured, Osimhen persevered and finished the first half alongside his teammates, having initially signaled to the bench for substitution. This impressive display marks Osimhen's first goal for Galatasaray, building on his 3 assists since joining Napoli. And that's all this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories we brought your way. Nigeria is currently holding interdenominational service of Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary celebration. And a lion has killed 35-year-old worker in Obasanjo Library's zoo. We also told you that Botswana presidential candidates have submitted their nomination forms to High Court. To remember now, you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Evo TV, and on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Appeal.